General Hospital will reveal Isaiah once appeared like a breath of fresh air amidst the familiar chaos of Port Charles. Carrying the quiet demeanor of a man who had seen too much and the sharp gaze of a doctor who could see through the tragedies of human life. His arrival wasn't just the beginning of a new chapter in the town's tangled relationships, it was a reminder that sometimes the most wandering souls are the ones capable of making the most profound impact. As Lucky's old friend, he didn't come to be a hero, but simply to exist among layers of secrets and buried emotions. Yet despite the initial intrigue, his presence now seems reduced to fleeting moments, where he serves merely as a supporting figure in medical scenes, rather than a character with deep emotional resonance or narrative weight. His romance with Jordan has been left unexplored, and his mysterious past remains untouched, leading many to wonder whether Isaiah is being quietly erased by the very soap that once introduced him as a vital piece of the puzzle. The silence surrounding him may not mark an end, but rather the calm before a storm, if only the story chooses to awaken what still lies dormant within him. The subtle evolution of Isaiah's character within the intricate tapestry of General Hospital has been both understated and, perhaps, purposefully misleading. Introduced as a grounded and thoughtful figure tethered to Lucky through a shared past steeped in spirituality and exile, Isaiah at first glance seemed like a much-needed stabilizing presence, an outsider who carried with him a depth of wisdom, a moral compass, and an unshakable calm that starkly contrasted with the stormy entanglements that often plagued Port Charles. But over time, cracks began to form in the pristine image that viewers were encouraged to accept. His appearances, initially sparse and purpose-driven, gradually acquired an enigmatic undercurrent. There were lingering glances, unexplained silences, and sudden disappearances that were never fully accounted for. These narrative absences, once overlooked as minor gaps in the script, now begin to take on new meaning when viewed through the lens of a deeper, darker storyline unfolding behind the scenes. What if Isaiah isn't the man everyone assumed he was? For all the admiration he garnered as a competent and compassionate doctor, and for all the quiet romance he seemed to nurture with Jordan, very little has been revealed about where he came from, what he experienced during those mysterious years with Lucky, or even what his core motivations might be now that he's embedded himself in the web of Port Charles society. While his medical skills are indisputable, his emotional detachment and the way he always seems to remain one step removed from the chaos around him suggest a man used to living on the fringes, someone trained to observe, infiltrate, and adapt rather than connect in genuine, vulnerable ways. It's entirely possible that his relationship with Lucky wasn't born solely of mutual trust and brotherhood, but out of necessity, perhaps even manipulation. Maybe Isaiah needed Lucky's trust not as a friend, but as a cover. And now that he's returned, that same calculated charm may be the key to a more nefarious agenda quietly unfolding beneath the surface. The quiet concern voiced by Brick months ago wasn't mere speculation. When he caught Isaiah slipping into Jordan's apartment under a veil of secrecy, it wasn't just a case of two lovers hiding their relationship, it was a red flag. Brick's instincts have been honed through years of navigating criminal underworlds, and his decision to dig into Isaiah's past wasn't just precautionary. The fact that he encountered gaps, inconsistencies, or perhaps even redacted data regarding Isaiah's background and family history speaks volumes. In the world of Port Charles, where everyone has a history, a blank slate is often more alarming than a criminal record. Who benefits from Isaiah's presence in the city? And more alarmingly, who might be pulling the strings behind the scenes, using Isaiah as a pawn, or worse, a willing agent. Then came the explosion at Sonny's penthouse, a brutal, calculated act of violence that sent shockwaves through the city and left many questioning the security of their strongest fortress. While the tragedy was initially interpreted as a targeted strike against Sonny's organization, the timing in relation to his recent meeting with Isaiah was far too coincidental to ignore. It wasn't publicly acknowledged, but insiders know that Isaiah and Sonny had a quiet, private conversation mere hours before the explosion tore through the building. What was discussed in that meeting remains classified, but one thing is certain: if Isaiah knew something, Or if he played a role in what happened, whether willingly or through coercion, the consequences could be catastrophic. Was Isaiah used as a vessel to transport a device, information, or even a warning into Sonny's inner sanctum? Was he acting on someone else's orders, or worse, on his own volition? Could he be working as a sleeper agent planted years ago, only now activating a long-dormant plan to dismantle Sonny's empire from within? These aren't idle questions, they're the logical extensions of a narrative that has long hinted at Isaiah being far more than he appears. His sudden integration into the social fabric of Port Charles, his ability to earn trust quickly, and his refusal to speak openly about his past all suggest a man with something to hide. And if he's hiding something, the list of potential dangers only grows. Adding to the intrigue is the undeniable fact that Jordan, a woman with a storied career in law enforcement, has allowed herself to grow close to Isaiah in a way that is both deeply emotional and dangerously naive. If Isaiah's intentions are not pure, then Jordan stands to lose not only her position and reputation, but also her heart. And the betrayal, when it comes, would not just shatter her, but leave a ripple effect through every connection she has, from the PCPD to the mayor's office. For someone as calculating as Isaiah may prove to be, such a relationship could be the perfect tool of manipulation, an access point to sensitive information, influence over powerful figures, and a shield against suspicion. There's also the tantalizing possibility that Isaiah's motivations are not entirely malevolent, but rather shaped by necessity. If he was being blackmailed, perhaps by someone threatening his family, or holding a secret over his head from his time with Lucky, then his actions take on a more tragic dimension. It's one thing to act out of malice, another entirely to be cornered into betrayal by forces beyond one's control. If this is the case, then Isaiah may be one of General Hospital's most complex antiheroes, a man torn between his sense of duty, his hidden loyalties, and the overwhelming pressure of past sins catching up to him. It may rival the literal detonation that rocked Sonny's world. The question is no longer whether Isaiah is hiding something, but how long he can maintain the illusion before everything unravels. If the writers dare to follow this path, General Hospital could unveil one of the most compelling character reversals in years, turning a presumed savior into a shadow-laden saboteur, and shaking the foundation of Port Charles with revelations that no one saw coming. Because in a city where loyalty is currency and secrets are the most dangerous weapon of all, Isaiah may prove to be the most dangerous kind of enemy, the one who knows exactly where your weaknesses lie, because you were the one who showed them to him. Despite the murky ambiguity surrounding Isaiah's true identity and past motivations, one undeniable truth remains: he exudes a quiet magnetism that makes him ripe for a genuine, emotionally rich romantic arc. While much of his screen time thus far has focused on professional duties and cryptic associations, his limited interactions with several women in Port Charles have hinted at a compelling romantic potential that the show has yet to fully explore. His brief but intense connection with Jordan may have faltered due to timing, emotional baggage, or simply the weight of secrets neither was ready to confront. But that doesn't mean Isaiah is incapable of love, or unworthy of a relationship that could redefine not only his trajectory, but that of the woman he chooses to be with. Among the most promising possibilities is Molly, a woman known for her intellect, fierce moral compass, and independent spirit. Though deeply involved with TJ in the past, recent fractures in their relationship have left her emotionally vulnerable yet determined not to lose her sense of self. Molly's deep-rooted desire for justice and truth could draw her toward Isaiah in unexpected ways. He presents a puzzle, a challenge, someone she instinctively wants to understand, but who resists easy classification. The two could find common ground in their mutual desire to do good, despite past mistakes or internal contradictions. Their story would be a slow burn, rooted in psychological intrigue, with Molly peeling back Isaiah's layers one at a time, perhaps discovering more than she bargained for, but unable to turn away from the gravity of who he is. Christina, Molly's sister, offers an entirely different dynamic. Fiery, impulsive, emotionally driven. Christina could be the spark that reignites something long dormant in Isaiah, a capacity for passion he's tried to suppress for years. Where Molly would seek to understand him, Christina would challenge him, forcing him to confront truths he has long buried under logic and restraint. Their relationship would be volatile, magnetic, a heady mix of attraction and conflict. In Christina, Isaiah might find not peace, but the storm that finally makes him feel alive again. And in Isaiah, Christina could find someone who doesn't try to tame her spirit but instead respects her fire, even when it burns dangerously close to exposing his own scars. Then there's Willow, whose calm strength and quiet vulnerability could present a third, deeply emotional alternative. Still healing from the trauma of her recent betrayals and custody battles, Willow may be drawn to Isaiah not for his mystery, but for the sense of safety he seems to offer, however illusory that might be. Their bond could form organically, beginning with professional interactions that blossom into something far more profound. As a fellow caretaker, someone who knows what it means to carry emotional burdens in silence, Isaiah could become a mirror to Willow's inner turmoil. Their romance wouldn't be flashy or dramatic at first, it would be intimate, unspoken, built on stolen glances, late-night conversations, and shared understanding. But like all powerful romances in Port Charles, it would eventually reach a boiling point, one where secrets collide with trust, and hearts are left exposed. What makes the prospect of a real romantic storyline for Isaiah so tantalizing is the duality he embodies. He is both protector and threat, healer and possible saboteur. Any woman who falls for him will inevitably have to confront this tension, making the love story not just about passion, but about truth, forgiveness, and transformation. Whether it's Molly, Christina, or Willow, each would offer him a different kind of salvation, and each would have something to lose if they placed their trust in a man who may still be hiding dangerous truths. In a soap opera landscape often dominated by larger-than-life villains and tortured heroes, Isaiah represents a unique opportunity. He is a character suspended between redemption and ruin. Someone who has yet to be fully defined, making him the perfect candidate for a romance that isn't just steamy or emotional, but transformative. A true love story, one that forces Isaiah to choose between the man he was, the man he pretends to be, and the man he could become, might be the very arc that finally allows him to come into focus. And perhaps, in that moment of vulnerability, when he finally lets someone in, not as a disguise, but as his true self, Isaiah could not only capture a heart, but reclaim his own humanity. If General Hospital truly wants to elevate Isaiah beyond a supporting figure and into a central force within the complex web of Port Charles, the key may lie not in who he has become, but in the past he's tried so hard to bury. A secret storyline centered on Isaiah's youth, one so carefully hidden that not even Lucky, his closest companion during their missionary years, is aware of it, could ignite a fresh wave of intrigue, danger, and emotional reckoning across the canvas. For a man who has positioned himself as calm, composed, and morally centered, the emergence of a dark family mystery could unravel everything he's worked to build, and force the audience to see him in a light that's far more complicated than before. Imagine, then, the sudden arrival of a stranger in town, someone who claims to know Isaiah intimately, but whose presence immediately unsettles him. This isn't just a distant acquaintance or forgotten friend. It's a blood relative, perhaps a brother, a cousin, or even a long-lost child that no one knew existed. The character's entrance into Port Charles is unassuming at first. They may take a job at General Hospital, cross paths with Trina, or quietly rent a room above Kelly's. But gradually, things begin to shift. Conversations grow tense when Isaiah unexpectedly spots this figure across the street. His behavior becomes erratic. His normally calm demeanor replaced by subtle paranoia and emotionally distant choices. Those who know him, Jordan, Willow, even Sunny, begin to take notice. The truth begins to crack open. Decades ago, before Isaiah became a doctor, before he embraced a life of healing, he was entangled in something far more destructive. Perhaps a crime was committed, one that resulted in tragedy for someone close to him. Maybe he took the fall for someone else in his family. Or maybe he fled to avoid facing the consequences of his own reckless actions. This buried secret could involve the death or disappearance of someone in their hometown, a missing person never found. Or an accident that was covered up with the help of powerful influences. Whatever it is, Isaiah's carefully constructed world is built atop this fragile lie, and now it's catching up to him. The family member who arrives in Port Charles isn't necessarily a villain, but they carry a truth that threatens Isaiah's stability, his credibility, and his relationships. They may come with their own agenda, hoping to reconcile, seek revenge, or even profit from Isaiah's new life. They might blackmail him. Or they might simply be the living embodiment of the one chapter of Isaiah's life he never wanted to reopen. As the past bleeds into the present, the audience would finally begin to understand the weight Isaiah has been carrying, and the choices that shaped him into the man he is today. This mystery doesn't just impact Isaiah, it would ripple outward. Jordan might begin to question everything she felt for him. Brick, who already suspected Isaiah was hiding something, could deepen his investigation. If Isaiah confides in Sonny, that trust could be tested against the backdrop of the mob world's own moral code. And Lucky, wherever he is, might be drawn back into the picture, realizing that his former partner had been deceiving him all along. Moreover, the arrival of this family member could create shocking parallels with others in Port Charles. Trina, Curtis, and even Ava could find themselves connected to Isaiah's past in unexpected ways. Perhaps the mystery ties back to a case Stella once worked, or an event buried in Port Charles history that no one thought would resurface. This opens a door for a multi-layered narrative, one that explores family loyalty, guilt, redemption, and the haunting power of unresolved trauma. Ultimately, Isaiah's secret past would serve not only as a dramatic turning point but also as a character-deepening revelation. It could offer the show a chance to explore how people can be both victims and perpetrators of pain, how truth can coexist with love, and how forgiveness must sometimes be fought for tooth and nail. Through this mystery, Isaiah wouldn't just become another doctor on the periphery, he would become a man torn between past and present. Forced to finally confront the ghosts that followed him to Port Charles. And in doing so, he could either rise anew or lose everything he's worked to protect.